Last month, the GRA announced radical plans for the Plough Lane Stadium, involving the shutting of the main grandstand and switching the racing operation to the far side Mick The Miller stand. A move designed to cut costs and safeguard racing's future there. The producer of the dogs, Clive Lawrence, was shown around what will soon become the grandstand by Clive Feltham, MD of the GRA. Clive explained how quickly the company had to put their plans into place.
It's been fast decision making, that's for sure. I mean, we've been concerned about Wimbledon for some time, but this sort of solution, I think provides a win-win as much as you possibly can in what are difficult times.
Was there one aspect that prompted the decision?
No, I think we came to the conclusion. I mean, the grandstand, we were just pouring money into it. We'd had a further sort of a local authority stroke insurance assessment. And quite frankly, we were spending more and more money just to make do a poor stand. And I think then the whole thought process of, well, what are we doing this for? We've got, we have got a stand that, cost us 2 million circa a few years ago that was here. And I think from that, you then begin to spring forward and say, well, actually, this is a good place to regroup.
Was there any stage on the table of a closure of Wimbledon?
No, I don't think we're in the dog racing game. We're in a difficult time. It's not a clean, we'll do this and then we'll exit.
Well, the GRA are in the dog racing game, but Risk Capital haven't been.
Well, they're still with us. We're still operating dog tracks. I don't think anything's changed really. They're not. They haven't changed their tack as such. They expect performance. We've got interest payments to make and get on with business, and that's always they're pushing this. I mean, the great thing is, remember, this step we've got to invest, and they've supported that investment in coming here. It's true to say they look at all their businesses, and this is a tough business simply because of the overhead. I mean, that's the real killer here. This massive site, rattling around on those quiet nights is just impossible.
Well, let's look at some of the numbers. How much initially do you think it's going to cost to convert the Mick The Miller stand?
Well, remember that, everyone's typically, when you do a stand, it's a big number. As I say, we spent 2 million on this stand. So the advantage of this stand is it's really a brand new stadium. So because we knocked down the roof and all the infrastructure, so it's a new steel frame stand. So what this grant is and our investment now is about doing downstairs to get it up to the standard that you need for those customers. And then upstairs, are nicely tidying, improving things, table, furniture, all the sort of things. Because as you can see around you, Clive, it's a good facility. It would be as good as most tracks in the country.
So what's your budget number?
Budget number is 400k all up, supported by the fund in the normal sort of 50% grant, and they're very supportive simply because they want Wimbledon to survive the same as we want. So we do have a joint position here really.
Support for the GRA's plans has come from the Greyhound Board of Great Britain, and we caught up with the board's acting chief executive Richard Hayler and asked him how he viewed the move.
Yeah, I think it is a positive one. Yeah, I think the owners and trainers will be relieved there. I think the racing public will be pleased that Wimbledon's here to stay. I think the plan that we know about seems to make good sense, that they're using the side of the track which suits the business best, and I think we'll get the best out of that side. And if they put good investment in and make a good facility for the public, I think it'll work well.
Nearly £200,000 of fund money going in. Have you asked for any guarantees?
Well, the fund always has some guarantees built in. There's a system set up where if a track closes or if it sells its assets within 5 years of receiving a grant, that those grants are repayable, less a small amount of depreciation. So there's no danger of the money disappearing at all, and at least for a 5-year guaranteed period, we know it will come back to the industry if the track is closed for any reason, but we're obviously confident it won't be.
The positive message is that the dog racing will continue at Wimbledon, but the short-term message is quite negative for a large percentage of your staff.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, terrible sort of meeting. A lot of these people have been with us a long time, but you've got to think of the whole. We want dog racing to continue, and so it's like the trainers. Very difficult meeting with the trainers, but they accept. They're most probably thinking that meeting with me was about closure of Wimbledon.
The man who has to deal with the changes on the racing side is Wimbledon racing manager Gary Matthews. This side of the track will, from March next year, house the stewards box and new winning line, and the standard distance is also set to change. Will it be close to the current 460 and 480 metre races?
Probably somewhere around the 475 mark. It's we'd like 460, we'd like 480, but I think one distance would actually suit everyone. So that's what we're looking at, and the position of the steward's box would probably have something to say with that.
Are you looking forward to being in the round, as it were, in the steward's box? Everyone will be able to see you?
Yeah, we've had a look at it. We know that Paul are actually in the same situation, so if it's good enough for them, then we'll take that on board.
Now, when you first heard about the news, were you positive?
Yeah, I think you have to be. I think in today's climate with ground racing, you have to be positive. They could have quite easily come in, shut the doors and said you're not a going concern. They've looked at it, seen that we are the top stadium in the country and that it needs to exist. Risk Capital have backed us, and they're quite happy to back us for the next 5 or 10 years.
Keith, you looking forward to the challenge?
I am indeed, yes. The option is one that we don't want to think about, and I think we're making the right decisions, and we're hoping to make it a real wow factor when people first come over here.
You're after a wow factor, Keith, but you're not spending a great deal of money on it, so how can you get that wow factor?
Well, the biggest spend is downstairs. Upstairs is still in very good condition from when it was built 7 years ago, 8 years ago. With the exception of having to install a restaurant upstairs, the money will be spent downstairs and bringing it up to scratch.
Capacity-wise, you're obviously reducing that significantly.
We're reducing significantly the capacity from the whole stadium down to just one side. It should still give us a capacity of between 3,000 to 3,500, and in my time here, admittedly only since February, we've only ever beaten that once, and that was on the Derby where we were under 4,000.
Now, looking at the capacity inside, well, the top floor looks very capacious. Outside, though, people are slightly concerned about the amount of room outside.
Well, they will still have the first, what will be the fourth and the first bends, which is actually more outside space than is currently used at the stadium.
But the bookmaker area?
The bookmaker area is the whole of the front of the stand. It will please our smokers as well, because the whole area is a smoking area in front of the stand this side, as opposed to on the other side where it's very, very small.
You give me very positive answers to all these questions. Are there any doubts you got?
I don't have any myself. I'm 100% behind this. I really think it will work, and I think it's the rebirth of Wimbledon.
I mean, the atmosphere over here will be completely different to what we've got over the other side. I mean, you can have a decent crowd over the other side and it's lost. Here, I think you'll feel, like the rest of the tracks in the country, single-sided, you'll get a real buzz about it.
But as far as the running surface is concerned, you will be correcting the supposed faults with the third bend as it is now.
Absolutely. No. That'll be, key to this really, to make sure that we, spend the time on that really and make sure it's right. Because of course, we don't want to restrict the entries in any way. And I'm pretty confident we can do that. We did it before with the first bend over the other side. So I think that's just getting the right people involved, doing it early, doing that work so that we're ready as soon as possible in March, and then dogs can get a run and people get a bit more confidence then, don't they?
Do you have a cut-off point? Do you think if it was to drag into April, you wouldn't go for it because, of course...
It won't drag into April. No, it'll be there.
Now, the investment from Risk Capital guaranteeing the future of Wimbledon for hopefully the next 5 or even 10 years. Does that put pressure on any of the other tracks? Do Risk want to get some money back from somewhere else?
No. Risk of, in terms of they're obviously investors in the business. They weren't short term. I mean, the fact that we're now 5 years on with them, it's a tough economic model, which is the same for everyone else, really. But no more pressure than we always have, Clive, like all businesses.
So let's look another 5 years ahead. Where would you like to see Wimbledon at that point?
I'd like to see us in a much better shape. I'd like to see us in this stand and thinking about expansion. I'd like to see it with a bags contract. I think it'd have all the ingredients. A smaller, more compact stadium, but still fit for purpose. People 5 years ago wouldn't have thought Wimbledon would be still around. I mean, that age-old question in the Racing Post, where do you think the Derby will be? Well, 5 years ago they didn't say Wimbledon. It's still here, and this bit of investment and this rebirth as such, I'm hoping will give us something for the future, really.